Welcome to the Halley Elise Show, featuring your host, empowerment psychic Halley Elise. She is an author, psychic, and media personality, and has been listed as one of the top 100 psychics in America. Empowerment psychic Halley Elise shares the spiritual, metaphysical, holistic, and magical powers of the universe. Follow Halley on her website at HalleyElise.com, and all her shows can be seen via live stream video. Now, here's your host, empowerment psychic Halley Elise.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in and for watching. We have a very special guest this evening. You know, I'm always very excited and delighted when I have somebody special on, and all my guests are very special. This person's a little bit more special because this is a gentleman who has been one of my mentors who I've known for many years, and I think you are going to be not only engaged by what takes place this evening, but you're going to be very excited about what is available to you this coming week on Wednesday and then on Friday and Saturday. But before we get there, because I'm going to jump ahead of myself, I want to introduce my guest. Okay, so this gentleman has been a worldwide authority on human behavior and leadership. His knowledge base is a accumulation of over 42 years, and it's cross-disciplinary. So his background, I should say cross-disciplinary research, behavior studies, philosophies. One friend once said that he has probably the equivalent of over 200 ologies under his belt, which I think is probably very apropos. He reads in abundance. He speaks in abundance, and it sounds kind of funny, but really and truly, this is a gentleman who will help you develop your own potential, to maximize that, and wants to help you learn how to love your life. He is more than a polymath, which is someone who has a myriad of knowledge and, if you will, learned studies under his belt, but he is also a gentleman who does speaking and has written, God, I don't even know how many. I'm going to have to check with him how many books he's up to at this point. I think it's a little over 20, if I'm not mistaken, as well as he is a behavioral specialist, a trainer. He is the creator, the founder of the Breakthrough Experience, which I have gone through, which is phenomenal. And if you really want to learn how to equilibrate your life, you want to go from the inside out, meaning all those wonderful things that you have inside of you that you've been desiring, that you've been hoping for. This is the gentleman who can really help you with that. So without further ado, I welcome Dr. John DeMartini this evening. Hello. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you could join us tonight. It was very funny when the PR folks called and said, we have somebody who's going to be coming into town, and they mentioned your name. I went, yay! And this other woman said, oh, do you know Dr. DeMartini? And I was thinking, yes. Matter of fact, before we dive in, I have to ask, is Linda still with you in the Texas office?
No, she actually has passed away. She's
I'm so sorry.
Higher dimension, you might say.
Okay. I had heard rumor, and I thought, no, that can't be. So I'm sorry to hear her. She was such a lovely lady.
Yes, she was amazing dynamo.
Absolutely. Well, you always have amazing people around you, and you always have the ability to draw more people to you. I was recalling, I'm trying to think of where we were. We were at one of your events, and we were all going for dinner one evening, and somebody actually bumped into you as we were coming in. They were walking out, and you stopped and you said hi, and you put out your hand to shake his hand, and he's looking dumbfounded. And I think you said something to him about, obviously we needed to meet. And all of a sudden the guy smiled real big and put out his hand and said his name. And that stuck with me over the years, as well as the idea that if you are empowered enough, then you can deal with anything. You're able to bring that into harmony, into balance. And I know that this coming week you're going to be in the Miami area, and that you are going to be doing a talk, and that's going to be on the 5 Secrets to Great Success, yes?
Yes, I'm going to be doing that at the Hyatt Coral Gables here in Miami area.
Yes, which is going to be amazing. And I also know that after your talk, you're going to do a breakthrough experience this weekend, right?
That will be, yes, on the weekend, the same hotel here.
Okay.
All day Saturday and all day Sunday.
So, what can people expect from learning the 5 secrets to success? And I say this kind of teasing because everybody uses that word secret. They all they have the secret that's going to make the difference. I know you personally, but the folks that are listening in, they don't necessarily know you. So, why are your secrets better than everybody else's secrets?
That's a great one. Well, I can't. I don't want to compare because I think everybody has something to offer.
Absolutely.
I've been involved in, as you stated, helping people maximize their human awareness and potential and achieve for going on 43 years. So,
Right.
I full time travel the world and share, and I research every day, and I write every day, and I travel most every day, and I've interviewed and interacted and been interviewed, 7,000 times now in radio and television. So I've been doing this for a bit.
Just for a short period.
4 decades. And all I can say is that I've extracted from some of the greatest minds. I've met thousands of great leaders, and I might as well share what I've gleaned from this. I've been standing on the shoulders of a lot of giants over the years.
That's lovely. I remember at one point over the years we were having a conversation, and I think it was at one of the events at the Broward Convention Center, actually, and Wayne Dyer was there, and the gentleman who wrote The Peaceful Warrior was there, and I remember you saying something to the effect of that hearing Wayne Dyer speak at one point was an inspiration for you to be able to speak or to want to connect with the masses like he did.
Well, this was about 30 years ago. I was in Chicago speaking at a conference, and he happened to be also a speaker. We were back to back. And after he spoke, I walked up to him and I asked him if he had any feedback on how to continue expanding my network to do international speaking.
Mm-hmm.
His statement was very simple. He says, well, let people know that you're an international professional speaker. I said, well, okay, simple. And I just affirm that every day. And my international speaking career has taken me to 119 countries now.
That's amazing.
So I can say thank you for that. I mean, he's passed on now, but
yes.
He simply passed some of his torch on to me, and I'm very appreciative of that. He had an impact on my life 30 years ago.
Right.
Actually, it's 33 years now.
It's amazing how time goes so quickly. Your children must be grown by this point.
I have a 31-year-old that's now lecturing and speaking and helping me, so yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome, truly. Okay, so when people come to see you, and I know you work in a lot of different arenas, and as I mentioned before, you're a polymath, which really allows you to talk about business, allows you to talk about personal development, allows you to talk about relationships, a myriad of different topics. And I shouldn't really say the word allow because it's more a matter of you have the expertise to communicate and to help people take a look at what needs to be shifted. And a lot of that takes place within the breakthrough process. Can you give everybody a little teaser about that?
Well, the Breakthrough Experience program I've been teaching now, this is going on 28 years. And I've done that one in about 61 countries. And about 250,000 people have been through that program. And I do it about 43 times a year. And I'm here in Miami this week doing it. I just was in London. In fact, I finished it yesterday in London.
Wow.
Before that, it was in Toronto. Every city is a different week. And but what the program is about breaking through whatever the limitations that we're holding that's stopping us from doing extraordinary things. I really believe that we're destined to do something more amazing than many people give themselves permission to do.
Agreed.
And I help people identify what they really, truly value, not their injected values from other people, how to orchestrate and structure their lives by priorities so they can get on to doing the things that are most meaningful and fulfilling, delegating the lower priority things, and literally building momentum towards something extraordinary and getting rewarded and doing what you love and getting handsomely paid to do it. Because I believe your vocation and vacation deserve to be the same. So the Breakthrough Experience is about transforming anything that's in the way to on the way and helping people stand up and do what they really would love to do and get paid to do it. I believe people deserve to live an abundant life. So I help people do that.
Agreed. I think one of the greatest things that I've taken away from your programs over the years is the fact that you either need to love what you do or do what you love. And it sounds so simple.
Either go and do what you love through delegation or go and love what you do through linking. We have command over our perceptions, our decisions, and our actions. And if we want to master our lives, we must master all three of those. We need to be able to master that no matter what happens in our life, we can turn it into an opportunity and use it to greatness, and be able to make wise decisions according to priority, and to be able to stick to priorities with our actions and execute it. We have an executive center in the brain, which is the medial prefrontal cortex.
Mm-hmm.
This area of the brain is involved in inspired vision, strategic planning, executing plans, and self-governance. And we can master our life if we live by priority. And we just got to give ourselves to do it. And we so often live in the shadows of others and compare our actions to other people's intentions instead of our own intentions. And we're not here to compare ourselves to others. We're here to compare our daily actions to our most aspiring dreams.
See, I think that's and it's very succinct. The idea that we are here to compare to what our actions are, to compare to our successes, and it really isn't about anybody else. That I'm going to bring up Wayne Dyer again just for a moment, in the fact that he said, and it's been said many times in different ways from different philosophers and teachers throughout the years, that what other people think of us is really none of our business, and it shouldn't really influence. But yet we seem to be a product oftentimes of our environment, or hereditary factors, or economics, or that one teacher that was unkind. So how is it that through the breakthrough process somebody is able to transmute that and move beyond?
Well, I've developed a method which I call the DeMartini method, which is where when you own the traits of the people you perceive around you, because people have a fear of speaking, for instance,
mm-hmm.
and the reason they have this fear of speaking is not because they have the fear of speaking, because they've been speaking their whole life. It's the fear of speaking in front of somebody that they perceive has something they don't.
Right.
They perceive that they're more intelligent, or they perceive they're more successful, they perceive they have more wealth, perceive they have a greater relationship, or more social influence, or better physiology, or beauty, or stamina, or that they're more inspired and more spiritually aware. Anytime we subordinate to others and assume they have something we don't, we shrink,
mm-hmm.
become jubilantly dependent, and we inject their values, and then we set goals that aren't ours, and then we cloud the clarity of our mission. And so I've developed a method on how to own the traits of the greats, stand on their shoulders, not in their shadows, and give yourself permission to literally build momentum upon their shoulders, like Crocodile Dundee once in his book, in his show, where he basically walked on the shoulders of people.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the key, not living in their shadows. So I developed a method on doing that, and it's helped celebrities and corporate leads and even government leaders to do more extraordinary things, to give themselves permission to play a bigger game.
Doesn't it all boil down to, in essence, our value systems, how we perceive ourselves as having value, or how we believe others perceive us or give us value?
Absolutely. Every decision we make in life is based on what we believe will give it the greatest advantage or disadvantage, greatest reward or risk to our highest values. And each of us have a unique set of values, a fingerprint-specific set of values. Identifying what these values are, which is what the breakthrough experience is about,
mm-hmm.
and starting to orchestrate and prioritize our life accordingly. If we don't fill our day with high-priority actions that inspire us, our life will fill up with low-priority distractions that don't. We cannot live an inspired life unless we're dedicating our life to be of service to people and earn the income to be able to delegate lower-priority things with the cash flow,
right,
to free us from lower energy-draining activities that are not inspiring to us. We have to be willing to go out and focus on what's really meaningful and fill our day with the things that are really, truly most productive. And it's so empowering in building our self-worth and therefore our net worth.
Dr. DeMartini, we have to take a quick break, so please hold on and we'll be right back.
Bob, did you see Halley Elise in the paper?
Who?
The empowerment psychic, Halley Elise. They did a 2-page write-up. The columnist was enthralled. Halley went right to an issue that she was dealing with. I'm looking at HalleyElise.com right now.
What are you thinking? Should we schedule an appointment?
Matter of fact, yes. You have issues with Sue and me, my business. Take a look at her background. It's impressive, and she has decades of experience.
I want to put it on my iPad. What's her info?
Empowerment Psychic Halley Elise. HalleyElise.com. 561-755-2166.
Spell it.
HalleyElise.com.
So it's HalleyElise.com and 561-755-2166, right?
561-755-2166. That's it.
You're listening to Empowerment Psychic Halley Elise, and she invites you to visit her website for more information about all that she does at HalleyElise.com. Now, back to your host, Empowerment Psychic Halley Elise.
Good evening. If you're just joining us, I'm delighted to say that I have one of my mentors on the phone with us this evening, Dr. John DeMartini. And we were just talking about his breakthrough experience, which you can actually experience for yourself this coming weekend on the 14th and the 15th. And that will be in Coral Gables in Florida. And that is at the Hyatt. Yes, Dr. DeMartini, the Hyatt?
Yes, it'll be at the Hyatt in Coral Gables.
Coral Gables. Okay, and I do want to give everybody your website so that if they don't catch what we said, they can go to the site. And that's drjohndemartini.com, yes? Or do you have the F in there?
Just drdemartini.com.
Okay, because I know in some places I see the middle initials, sometimes I see the full middle name, so I wasn't sure. But,
yeah, people, sometimes I put the F in there, and I've recently been removing that because it's just one more thing for them to remember.
Yes, exactly. And it was interesting. I was telling somebody about you, and they said, "Oh, so it's capital D E and then capital M," and I'm like, "No, actually, it's lowercase m." And they're like, oh, they shouldn't do that. They're not honoring the name. I said, I'm sure everything is copacetic. You don't have to worry about it. But it's just interesting that how people react to things. And, before we took a break, we were talking about how people put value on things and themselves, the others, those perceptions. And I know through the DeMartini process, you kick butt. You challenge everybody's perception.
We filter our reality through our values, our priorities. For instance, if you're a mother and you're 35 years old and you have 3 beautiful children and you're dedicated to raising a beautiful family and your highest value is those beautiful children, if you walked in a mall, you'll spot things related to children's education, children's health, children's entertainment, children's clothes, etc. You'll filter your reality. The pulvinar region in the thalamus is involved in this. We literally see a different reality than our, say, a husband, where he might be an entrepreneur, and he will see in that mall completely different things. So we both filter our realities according to values. So knowing what our values are is crucial, because we tend to excel and achieve the most and build momentum and expand our nature and do extraordinary things and have more adaptability and resilience and fitness if we live congruently with our highest values. This is so crucial. And the moment you identify them, which is part of what the breakthrough experience is about, in my book, The Values Factor, is about, the moment we identify what our highest values are, we get a big aha. No wonder our life is the way it is, and no wonder we do excel in this area and not in this area.
How would you say that the breakthrough experience compares to, and not a comparison says in being good or bad, but I'm going to say more in the terms of likeness, to a program where someone is able to reveal why it is that their value system is the way it is? Meaning, perhaps as a child they were told the same thing over and over again. And as we know, a belief is nothing more than something we hear and we believe over time because we've heard it so often. So when you look at, let's say, a program that helps to release that versus working through the breakthrough, which I want to say, do you feel has, I won't say more power, but perhaps is a quicker route to getting to where you need to be? Or would you say they're comparable?
William James, father of modern psychology, over 100 years ago, made a statement that the greatest discovery of his generation, that human beings can alter their lives by altering their perceptions and attitudes of mind. And that it was not what happened to us. It was our perceptions, decisions, and actions that determined how we ended up. So I don't ever want to blame that environment, because I found that's not really productive.
Right.
And so we can go on and use psychotherapy and look at all kind of analysis on that instead of actually just getting to the point as how specifically, whatever happened, how's it serve us? How are we using it? How can we use it to our greatest advantage at that moment? Because we can't change what's happened. We can change our perception.
Exactly.
And also, we didn't take in everything that our parents or our peers imposed on us. We selected according to our own inherent values. So we can't blame them again because we don't take in everything anyway. We only take in what we chose, and we use them as our scapegoats if we don't want to take on accountability many times. So in the breakthrough experience, I help people empower their life by removing the bullshit, excuse the expression, excuses that people come up with. We go in there and we find out whatever's happened in their life, how has it served them? How do we use it to the greatest advantage so there's nothing in the way? And we actually ask a series of questions that help them perceive the same experiences in their life in a way where they're empowered by it and they're grateful for it, and they actually use it to incredible capacities, because we have incredible capacities. And the more challenges we faced in our life, the more empowered we're capable of being.
Absolutely.
We so many people live in a fantasy world about, oh, I should have had a support of this, or I should have had that. And they're comparing their current reality to fantasies about how it should have been instead of honoring the way it was. There's no mistake in what it was. It's exactly what's needed in order to do something extraordinary with your life. If you go and look at the biographies of some of the most amazing people on the planet, they have all had the challenges that a lot of people want to use as excuses.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's wise to take those challenges and turn them into great entrepreneurial adventures.
Makes a lot of sense. And I know with a lot of my clients, because when they come in, it's not always that they get a portent to the future. What comes up for me is something that's relevant that they're overlooking in their world. And, I have some that will say, oh, well, I can't change it because, there's that expectation that it's supposed to be a certain way. So sometimes it's not even a matter of that they don't want to change, but they've got themselves convinced that it's supposed to be that way. How do you respond to someone like that?
We want to dissociate from our own cause and effect many times, and we want to blame something because it's not matching the fantasy that we are addicted to. I would say depression is a comparison of our current reality to the fantasy that we're addicted to. Instead of honoring the way it is, we compare things to what we think it should have been or is supposed to be. And I found those completely unproductive and disempowering.
Absolutely.
The way it is the way it is. Now the question is how can you use it to your greatest advantage?
Right.
How can you build something amazing with exactly what you're going through and what you've been through?
And I think that's where the power comes, when that individual recognizes that things are not going to change on their own, and they're not going to be something that you desire without any sort of effort. You have to actually recognize, where are you in this moment? I always use the example when I have someone who is, and again, the word fantasy is a really great word here, fantasizing about what it's supposed to be. And I'll ask them, where are you right now? And they'll go, what do you mean? And I'll say, where are you right now? And they'll say, well, I'm here. Okay. Are you sitting? Yes. Are you safe? Yes. Are your feet on the ground? Yes. To get them to be aware of the fact that in this moment, that's exactly where they are. They're not in the future. They're not in the past. And they need to recognize what's going on in this moment that they can embrace. Or if there's something that they don't choose, as you said, how can it benefit them? How can they use that to their advantage? And that's what I love about the breakthrough process. I'm not crazy about the fact that you kick butt. I was sharing today with gal at my office who's a physician about the process, and I said, by the time you get out of there, you're exhausted. You've learned a lot, and you have literally changed who you are, and you become greater than you thought you could be, but you're exhausted because you definitely have people.
Well, the exhaustion is not because of the process. The exhaustion is holding on to the fantasies and not wanting to let go of them and fighting at the process.
Because it's what we think we know.
They're inspired.
Right.
People who want to hold on to their fantasy and want to be right instead of want to be inspired and want to love their life.
See, it's interesting because I think the distinction is people wanting to versus, again, I'm going to use the word belief or believing that's the only way to go. And through your process, they really are able to transmute so much of what is they believe is ingrained that can't be changed, just simply by recognizing it and becoming accountable for it and being able to see it in others and realizing that they're more connected to other people than they may have noticed before. And I think that's huge because so often everybody feels alone or separate, and nobody really is.
Yeah, I had a gentleman who is in Sydney, Australia, who was 58 years old, and he had a father and him had a fight when he was 16. And his father kicked him out of the house.
Okay.
And they had a major brawl. I mean, literally a fist fight, and they fought, and he said, I'm never coming back, and never come back here. So he's now 58 from 16. So 42 years have passed. He came to the breakthrough experience that we did in Sydney, Australia.
I hate to say this, Dr. DeMartini, believe it or not, our time is done. So I can't even let you finish that, but I'm going to assume that things worked out really well after all those years holding on. He was able to release it. Everyone, if you will, go to drdemartini.com. You'll be happy you did. You can take a look at the myriad of books, different topics, all that are of value to you. You can take a look at what's taking place this Wednesday, which is the 11th. You don't want to miss this opportunity. It's phenomenal. And I took a peek at the site myself. There are some wonderful gifts and bonuses for just attending on Wednesday. So do look at drdemartini.com. And Dr. DeMartini, thank you so much for being on. I'll see you on Wednesday.
Thank you so much, and look forward to seeing you Wednesday.
All righty. Have a great night. Thanks all. We'll see you next week on the Halley Elise Show.
Be enchanted and delighted. Connect each week here on WNN for the Halley Elise Show. Also on Facebook and at HalleyElise.com. Thanks for tuning in. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.